Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final game of the day here from the Joan Lenahan Field at the 2019-16 Girls Invitational Championships for Baseball Canada. This evening we have for you a game in Pool B, as it's going to be British Columbia bringing in their record of 1-0, taking on Manitoba, who come in with a record of 0-1. BC victorious in their game earlier today against Team Quebec 2 by a score of 12-11. Manitoba dropping a decision to Saskatchewan by a score of 9-2. The visiting team for this game will be Team British Columbia. Manitoba will be the home team by virtue of the schedule as it has been laid out. So let's start by bringing you through the batting order for those visitors. The team from British Columbia, leading off, it will be Rain Pagem. Batting second, Caitlin Foubert. Batting third, the center fielder, Keegan Wong. Batting fourth, playing third base, Ashley Losin. Batting in the fifth spot, the second baseman, Cameron Grayson. Batting sixth, the left fielder, Amelia Russo. Batting seventh and starting on the mound for Team BC, it'll be Juliette Kladko. Batting in the eighth spot, the extra hitter, Vanessa McKinley. And batting ninth, first baseman, Tess Sawkins. And rounding out the batting order, the catcher, Jacqueline Chernin. Defensively for Team Manitoba in the top of the first inning, the outfield will consist of Zara Dixon, in left. Center field, Jessica Chanel, and right field, Marie Bean. Around the infield from third to first, Darby Poole playing third. Shortstop, J.C. Ledahowski. At second base is Mercedes Gorham. And playing first base, Kennedy Taves. Behind the plate for Manitoba this evening is Jasmine Horwood. And getting the start on the mound, Michaela Peacock. Taking a look at who's going to be doing the arbitration, as the expression goes, or the umpiring for this game. Behind the plate, it will be Matt Henneberry calling the balls and strikes. Skylar Blanchette will take first base, while Mackenzie Maloney will be on the third base side of the diamond. We're just awaiting those umpires to get this game going. It's the final game of the day to get started here on day number one of the 2019-16 Girls Invitational Baseball Championships. Running you quickly through the rest of the action that we've had today, and it has been a busy one. 10 games in total on the schedule. 8 of them are already finals. 2 are still yet to finish up. We'll take a look at Pool A, where 2 games have been completed so far. Team Ontario defeated Quebec number 1 by a score of 11-10. That game earlier today. As well earlier today, Nova Scotia won. Took a 4-0 victory over Team Alberta to improve to 1-0, tied with Ontario at the top of the pool standings. And Team Nova Scotia won back out on the diamond right now. They're over on the Robert Lenahan Field as they are playing against Team Quebec number 1. So it's Quebec 1 with a record of 0-1 against Nova Scotia 1 with a record of 1-0. That game over on Robert Lenahan. In Pool B, we've got 2 finals already in. As mentioned, Saskatchewan with a victory over Manitoba by a score of 9-2, as British Columbia beat Quebec 2 by a score of 12-11. So BC has that 1-0 record, and Manitoba with the record of 0-1, as those 2 teams are about to meet right here on Joan Lenahan Field. And in Pool C, 4 games played today, and it was a few wild ones for us in Pool C action. Team Nova Scotia 2 has a record of 2-0 after a 9-1 victory over Newfoundland Labrador to open the day today, and then bouncing right back with a 19-10 win over New Brunswick a little earlier this afternoon. Prince Edward Island has a record of 1-1. They beat New Brunswick 12-10 before dropping a decision 20-0 to Newfoundland and Labrador. So Newfoundland Labrador, they're 1-1 with that loss to Nova Scotia and the win over PEI. And New Brunswick, they're 0-2. Despite scoring 20 runs on the day, they dropped both decisions, 12-10 to PEI, 19-10 to Nova Scotia 2. And the big nail in the coffin of New Brunswick as far as today went, an 11-run bottom of the 6th inning for Team PEI. Going into that bottom of the 6th, New Brunswick was leading in that game. That was our opener this morning, 8-1 going into the bottom of the 6th, but PEI put 11 runs on the board in the bottom of the 6th, turning it into a 12-8 lead for PEI. New Brunswick was able to put 2 on the board in the top of the 7th, but not able to finish the comeback as PEI earned that big victory there. And it should be pointed out as well, the top 3 teams from Pool A will advance into the playdowns for the top 6 spots in the tournament. The top 2 teams from Pool B, and just the winner of Pool C will go into that 6-team playoff bracket. And then the bottom team from Pool A, the bottom 2 teams from Pool B, and the bottom 3 teams from Pool C will go into the bracket for spots 7 through 12. So that's the breakdown of what we've seen so far on day number 1. And they are just a little bit ahead of us over on the other diamond. They're getting underway a few minutes ago between Nova Scotia 1 and Quebec 1. We'll try to keep you up to date on what's going on that diamond, while here we are about to have Manitoba versus British Columbia. As finishing off her warm-up pitches, it is Michaela Peacock from Somerset, Manitoba. The 15-year-old finishing off her warm-up pitches, getting ready to go. Here to face BC in the top of the 1st inning, and it's going to be Rain Padgham will be the first batter that she will face. Padgham from Abbotsford, BC, just 14 years old, playing here in this 16U tournament. BC with a mix of some youth and some experience. They've got a good handful of 16-year-olds in their lineup, but a number who are just 14 and 15. So you look at the future of baseball in British Columbia, it looks pretty bright for Manitoba. Despite this being called a 16U tournament, it's the birth date, the cutoff of the birth date, because it's not right at this time of year. Some players have had their 17th birthdays here in 2019 already. So there are going to be some players who are 17 years old, but are still eligible to play in this 16U tournament based on when in the year their birthday sits. And we are underway with the first pitch coming in at 6:44 p.m. And that pitch to Padgham misses, and it's a 1-0 count. So 14 minutes behind the original scheduled time, but you know what? That's not too bad when you consider a full day of baseball. To only be 14 minutes off the schedule, we'll take that. Second pitch to Padgham misses as well, and the count goes to 2-0. That pitch also out of the zone, and it's now 3-0. And as you can see on your screen, a little bit of shadow playing with the field here as the batter almost in shadow herself. Left-handed batters will be standing in shadow, while the righties have that sun almost coming right into their face. There's a called strike 2 as Padgham thought it was going to be ball 4, but not to be, says our umpire. And you'll notice Padgham there, the bright pink hair, a bit of a unique feature of Padgham. We'll get more into that later in the game as she goes down looking. First strikeout of the game for the pitcher, Michaela Peacock, and that'll bring up Caitlin Foubert. Foubert, 14 years old, from Surrey, BC. A lot of these players from the Vancouver and surrounding area. That one misses high and inside, ball 1. Got a lot of Vancouver, Surrey, Burnaby, that general area, Abbotsford, and then a few players from a little bit farther afield. Try saying that 5 times fast. There's a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. Farther afield. 1-1 the count on Foubert. And the pitch from Peacock. Foubert thought about swinging but held up, and the count goes to 2-1. As we come to you from the beautiful Joan Lenahan Field here in Bedford, Nova Scotia. For those of you not familiar with Nova Scotia geography, basically we're just a little ways outside of Halifax, still within what's referred to as the HRM, Halifax Regional Municipality. 2-2 the count here on Foubert. That one misses down in the dirt, and the count runs full, 3-2. So Peacock, back-to-back batters, she's gone to a full count against. Was able to get the strike the first time. This time, pitches to contact, grounder to short, throw across the diamond in time for out number 2. Is a good, strong throw there from Ledahowski for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Keegan Wong. Wong from Chilliwack, 15 years old. Another right-handed batter stepping in. As Quebec put 3 runs in on the board in the top of the first over in that other game. There's a throw that gets a little bit high, but what a recovery by the first baseman, Kennedy Taves, to save that out. And Taves gets her foot on the bag in time. BC retired in order in the top of the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We've played half an inning and no score between BC and Manitoba. And as mentioned, Quebec scored 3 in the top of the first. And we'll run you through the batting order for Team Manitoba. Leading off, it will be the first baseman, Kennedy Taves. Batting second, playing third base, Darby Poole. Batting third, the shortstop, J.C. Ledahowski. Batting fourth, the catcher, Jasmine Horwood. In the fifth spot, the extra hitter, Cheyenne Chartrand. Batting in the sixth spot, Mercedes Gorham, the second baseman. Seventh spot belongs to the pitcher, Michaela Peacock. Batting 8th, 9th, and 10th, it's the 3 outfielders, Zara Dixon, Marie Bain, and Jessica Chanel. The defense that they will be hitting into of BC, starting in the outfield from left to right, Amelia Russo, Keegan Wong, and Caitlin Foubert. Around the infield, third base being monitored by Ashley Losin. Shortstop is Rain Padgham. Playing second base, Cameron Grayson. First base, Tess Sawkins. Behind the plate, it is Jacqueline Chernin. And on the mound, the starting pitcher, Juliette Kladko. Kladko, a 16-year-old from Vancouver, BC, getting the start in this one. And the first batter that she will face, Kennedy Taves. Taves had a big game in the opener on the mound. Taves, the 15-year-old from Steinbach, batting in the leadoff spot in this one. Taves played a big part in that game between Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Had a decent showing on the mound in a losing effort. Takes the first pitch for a ball, and the count goes to 1-0. The 1-0 pitch swung on and missed, and it's 1-1. And as you can see now, the batter's box is almost completely in shadow, while the pitcher's mound and most of the way to the plate in full sunlight. That one fouled off the front of the plate, and the count goes to 0-2, or 1-2, excuse me. And this is going to be a bit challenging for the hitters for the next little bit as the shadows continue to lengthen across the Joan Lenahan Memorial Field. That one fouled off, back out of play. Almost hitting the umpire's trailer back there. And got to give a shout out to our umpires, not only in this game, but throughout the tournament so far. All day today, we've had absolutely fantastic umpiring. There's a swing and a miss. And the strikeout as Kladko responds with a K of her own from the mound. That'll bring up Darby Poole. Poole, the 15-year-old from Macaulay, Manitoba. And I will confess my knowledge of Manitoba geography, not what it should be. There's a called strike on Poole. And the count goes to 0-1. And if you want to teach me some Manitoba geography, send me a tweet. My Twitter handle is PetterPC_sports. That's P-E-T-T-E-R, PC_sports. Grounder to short, across to first in time. As the good solid throw there from Padgham gets the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up J.C. Ledahowski. Ledahowski from Toulon, Manitoba. And if I'm mispronouncing the name of that community, again, by all means, send me a tweet. You can also send me a message on Facebook. Search Petter, P-E-T-T-E-R, Pictou, as in P-I-C-T-O-U, referencing the county that I'm from here in Nova Scotia. Sports, Petter Pictou Sports. If you search that on Facebook, you'll find my Facebook page. You can send me a message and let me know what I'm getting wrong, because I'm sure there's a fair bit of it. 1-1 the count here on Ledahowski as the lefty stands in the shadows of the great big tree just off behind us here. 2-1 now the count on Ledahowski. Swung on and missed, and the count goes to 2-2. For geography of Manitoba, to teach me where some of these places are. I know where Winnipeg is. I know where Brandon is. So sort of put it in terms of reference to where those communities are. Unfortunately, Manitoba, like I say, one of the provinces that I'm not as familiar with. Another one fouled off. The count remains 2-2. And that one again fouled off, as we got quite the battle going on there, and just about another vehicle in the parking lot getting nailed with a foul ball. And again, if my wife is watching, don't worry, I parked far enough away that should not be an issue. There's a swing and miss. Second strikeout of the bottom of the first inning. And 3 up, 3 down. BC does that to Manitoba, or Manitoba does that to BC in the top of the first. Well, BC says, sure, we can do that to you too. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We've played one complete inning, and we've seen the minimum number of batters with nobody getting on base. Due up in the top of the second for BC, it'll be Losin, Grayson, and Russo. And if anybody gets on, then Kladko coming up after that. As what started out as a not-so-great day weather-wise here in Bedford, we were a little worried that we were going to possibly have some scheduling concerns due to having to delay the start of action this morning, perhaps. But the rain, Mother Nature, has done us a big favor holding off all day today. And through much of the afternoon and here this evening, it has turned into a beautiful evening here in Bedford. Bit warm still, but we can handle that. As Team Quebec and their supporters making a lot of noise, as it looks like Nova Scotia had a rally shut out over there. We'll try and get some details as they become available. And leading off the top of the second, Ashley Losin. Losin from Surrey. Another 16-year-old in this lineup. Takes that one off the fists and pushes it foul. 0-1 the count. As Losin was first pitch swinging there on the offering from Michaela Peacock. That one misses down and outside, and 1-1 now the count. Peacock gets herself set and delivers. That one catches the corner, and the count now 1-2. Peacock with some pretty good tempo to her game out there on the mound. Gets the ball back, doesn't waste any time, gets herself set and ready to go again. Not one of those ones where you'd have to worry about putting a pitch clock on her. There's a drive out to deep left field, off the fence, in fair territory. Losin will get into second standing up. A leadoff double as she pulled that one with some power out to deep left field, just shy of the fence. That'll bring up Cameron Grayson. Grayson, 15 years old, from BC. Listed on the roster as mostly a first or third baseman, but playing middle infield today in this one at second base. Takes the first pitch, a little bit high, a little bit inside, ball one. Losin with the leadoff double. A hard hit shot out to left field. Swing and a miss there, and the count goes to 1-1. So our first base runner of the game for either team comes here in the top of the second inning and is immediately in scoring position. Here comes the 1-1 pitch from Peacock. And that comes a little bit too high and tight, and it will catch Grayson on the forearm. And that'll put runners on first and second with nobody out for Amelia Russo. Russo, a 15-year-old from Kelowna. It's been a long time since I've been to Kelowna, but I've been there a few times. BC, one of the, let's see, 5 provinces I've lived in so far. That one misses high. Ball one. 2-1, nobody out here, top of inning number 2. British Columbia and Manitoba playing here in Pool B action. That one foul, just first base side. Trying to get to it there was the Manitoba catcher, Jasmine Horwood. Couldn't quite get there in time, as just not quite enough height on that one for Horwood to get to that ball. 1-1 now the count. Peacock gets herself set. There's a grounder, just foul down the third base line. Is Russo a little bit too far ahead of that one? That'll make it 1-2. As you can see, the shadows, there's a great big shadow there of a light pole that goes right across the middle of the infield. And you can also just sort of see the shadow of our broadcast tower just over towards first base there. There's ball 4. That will load the bases. So a double, a hit batsman, and a walk loads the bases with nobody out for Juliette Kladko. Kladko, as mentioned, a 16-year-old from Vancouver. The lefty stepping in, as didn't notice it till just now, but both of our starting pitchers wearing 14 in this game, as the two pitchers and the two number 14s are about to do battle head-to-head. File that under one of those things that doesn't really impact on the game, but a neat coincidence. The left-handed hitting Kladko facing the right-handed throwing Peacock, and the first pitch from Peacock misses high, ball 1. Bases loaded, nobody out here, top of the second inning. Still looking for the first run of the game. There's a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. One ball, one strike now. And Peacock steps off the mound. Now will get herself set back up again. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. And the count goes to 1-2. The 1-2 pitch just misses low, and we're all even at 2 apiece here in the at-bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Peacock again stepping off as she didn't like what she saw from Losin batting or standing at third there. There's a called third strike. Second strikeout, both looking for Peacock. And that'll be the first out of the inning, bringing up Vanessa McKinley. McKinley, a 15-year-old from Burnaby. In this game as the extra hitter. And if you're not familiar with the way the Baseball Canada rules work for this tournament, your 9 fielders plus an extra hitter instead of a DH. You get an extra hitter. There's a shot through the middle. Runner from second will come all the way around trying to score and get gunned down at home. A big arm out there in center field from Jessica Chanel. Guns down. Grayson trying to score. Losin does score. That run counts. But the second out of the inning, as Grayson tries to come home and score, no dice. Russo stops at second. McKinley at first with the RBI single. It is 1-0. But what a throw from Chanel to keep it only 1-0. That'll bring up Tess Sawkins. Sawkins, a 15-year-old from Victoria, takes the first pitch for a ball. What an arm there. That will be a big play in this game if it remains a close one. There's a strike, and the count goes to 1-1 on Sawkins. A big, big throw there from Chanel. The 1-1 pitch forthcoming from Peacock. Catches the outside corner, and it's now 1-2. BC with the first run of the game, making it 1-0. That one into the dirt, and it gets past the catcher Horwood. That'll allow McKinley to get down to second, Russo over to third. And the count on Sawkins now goes to 2-2. The 2-2 pitch misses high, and it's now 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 away here in the top of inning 2. And that one catches the inside corner for strike 3. 3 strikeouts for Peacock, all of them catching the batter looking. But BC does put a run on the board. They get 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. We've played 1.5, and after 1.5, it is British Columbia leading Manitoba 1-0. Due up in the bottom of the second, it'll be Horwood, Chartrand, and Gorham for Manitoba. And if anybody were to get on base, then Peacock, the pitcher, would be fourth. As the lefty for BC, Kladko, out there to warm up for her second inning of work. Left-handed pitching, oh so important. You see it time and time again at every level of baseball. If you can have good left-handed pitching, that is a big key towards success for your ball club. And Kladko, a very good left-handed pitcher out there for BC. as Jasmine Horwood steps in. Horwood from Brandon, a 15-year-old, steps up to the plate for her first at-bat in this game. First pitch to Horwood misses down and in the count 1-0. Manitoba, as mentioned, dropped a tough one to Saskatchewan this morning, earlier this afternoon, 9-2. BC, meanwhile, had a win over Quebec, 12-11. That one popped up, foul territory, right field side, right down in front of us. The catch made by the first baseman, Tess Sawkins, almost directly. Our broadcast position here is pushed right up against the fence, and she was so close to the fence I couldn't see her when she made the catch. We have to take the umpire's word for it that the catch was made in foul territory. That'll bring up Cheyenne Chartrand from Lundar, Manitoba, 15-year-old left-handed hitter facing the left-handed pitcher. Chartrand, the extra hitter in the lineup to start this one off. Swing and a miss there. And the count 0-1. As you can see, the light stand shadows extending on either side of the pitcher's mound. There's the pitch. That just misses, and the count now 1-1. As Chartrand, the lefty, stands in. Grounder over to short, gathered up by Pageant across the diamond in time. And that's 2 away as Pageant gets the throw across. And that will bring up Mercedes Gorham. Gorham from Steinbach, a 15-year-old, second baseman for Manitoba. Swinging and fouling that one off the front of the plate. And the count goes to 0-1. And these lighting conditions, not only challenging for the ball players, but challenging for our tech as well, as our illustrious cameraman working to frantically reset for the changing light as the game goes on. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 0-2. Trying to make sure we bring you the best possible picture here on 360 Live. That one swung on, and good contact made out to center field, and it gets over the head of the center fielder, Wong. Coming around to second with the stand-up double is Gorham, as I think Wong was a little bit fooled on that pitch, or on that hit. Didn't look like it was hit with quite as much power as it was, and earlier in the day, that ball would have died with wind coming in, but the wind has died down quite a bit, so a double for Gorham. That'll bring up Peacock, as the two pitchers are once again battling head-to-head. The first time they faced, Peacock got the victory by striking out Kladko. Now, half an inning later, they meet with the roles reversed. That one fouled off, and the count goes to 1-1. That one a little too close for comfort to my van. I thought I parked far enough back, but I guess maybe I'm going to have to park even further away tomorrow. There's a foul, and the count goes to 1-2. Beautiful facility here at the Robert and Joan Lenahan Memorial Fields. The Robert Lenahan Field a little bit bigger. There's a swing and another foul tip, and the count stays 1-2. The Robert Lenahan Field just sort of off behind our broadcast position over our right shoulder here. The Joan Lenahan Field, the one you're watching this game on. Swung on and missed. Third strikeout for Kladko. So she gives up the 2-out double, but Manitoba not able to take advantage. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. We've played 2 complete, and British Columbia now leads or still leads 1-0. Due up in the top of the third, it'll be the 10th hitter, Jacqueline Chernin, and then back up to the top of the order for Rain Padgham and Caitlin Foubert. As the Shadows continue to crawl their way across. And the challenging light conditions certainly having an impact on the players. It's got to be difficult for the umpires as well, as they're constantly changing position, trying to get a different angle on where the play is going to be in front of them. And hitters have a hard time sometimes judging if a ball is going to be in the zone or not as it's coming in, because it goes from light to dark. And you can imagine that it's a similar sort of issue for the umpire, even though he's really focusing on just where it crosses the plate. But it still has to be challenging nonetheless. As Peacock wrapping up her warm-up pitches. And Chernin from Vancouver, the 16-year-old, getting ready to lead off. As Chernin steps in, the right-hander, ready to lead off the top of the third here. 1-0 the scoreline in favor of Team BC. And first pitch swinging, grounder to second, over to first. One pitch, one out. As the ball gathered up there by Gorham and over to Taves for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Rain Padgham. Padgham 0 for 1. She struck out leading off the first inning. And Padgham, as we mentioned, the easy to find out there on the field with that pink hair. She's been wearing it pink since she was 6 years old. And there's another ball hit all the way to the base of the fence. And Padgham diving in for the double. BC players swinging at first pitches here. And Padgham gets a double out to center field. That'll bring up Caitlin Foubert. Foubert 0 for 1. She grounded out to short her first time up. Sends this one out to left or right field. Making the catch was Bean. And then the throw down to third, advancing to third, is Padgham. As there are now two away, and that'll bring up Keegan Wong. She grounded out to short her first time up as well. Comes up this time with a runner on third and two away. Wong, part of back-to-back 14U Western Canadian Championship teams. Had a chance to close in the final of one of those games. As Peacock steps off the rubber, making Padgham head back towards the bag. Now the delivery. Swinging on the first pitch again. Grounder down to the shortstop, Ledahowski. Strong throw across. And it looks like we're in for a defensive treat here in this one. No runs, one hit. No errors, and one runner left. We've played 2.5, and BC continues to lead Manitoba by a score of 1-0. Due up in the bottom of the third, it will be the 8, 9, and 10 hitters, Zara Dixon, Marie Bean, and Jessica Chanel. As one of the loudest fan bases at this tournament, much like it was last year, Team Quebec. Lots of noise from their fan base as Quebec Actually the defending champions in this one as well. They won a thrilling final game last year. Again, we're heading into the bottom of the third inning in this one. BC looking to go 2-0, and Manitoba looking to avoid going 0-2. As Zara Dixon gets ready to lead off here. Inning number 2, Dixon. 16 years old from Carberry. First pitch to Dixon, swinging, grounder to third. Little bit of a bobble there, picking it up, and the throw goes awry, but it'll bounce off the fence, and Dixon will stay put as Losin, little bit handcuffed on that one, had the ball bounce off her foot. Recovered in time to try and make a throw, but the throw a little bit awry, and so Dixon will get on. That'll bring up Marie Bean. Bean also from Carberry. Fouls that one back into the fence, and the count goes 0-1. We've seen a lot of first pitch swinging in this game, which has helped to create the pace that we have. We've only been playing for 34 minutes, and we're already in the bottom of the third inning. Great pace to this game. There's a grounder down to first, touching the bag for one out, and touching the runner for out number 2. The 3-6 double play that Bean grounds into. Retires Dixon at first, or at second, and Bean at first, and that'll bring up Jessica Chanel. Chanel from Somerset, one of those players who we mentioned is 17 years old, even though this is a 16U tournament, and that by virtue of when in the year her birthday falls. And Chanel takes a first pitch strike. It's not like if you turn 17 in the middle of the tournament, that's it, you're no longer eligible. It's when with it, the birth date cutoff, I want to say, is in April or May. And so if you were born prior to that cutoff date, you're still eligible to play. There's a swing and a miss and a strikeout, the 4th strikeout for Kladko on the mound. So Manitoba did get a runner by virtue of an error, but that runner was then taken out with the double play. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and no runners left on base. We've played 3 complete, and it is still BC leading it 1-0. Due up for British Columbia in the top of the 4th. It's Losin, Grayson, and Russo. And if anyone gets on, then back to the pitcher, Kladko, for her second appearance at the plate. Both of these pitchers are not wasting any time. They get the ball and they fire. Also, both of these teams swinging at first pitches, and both of these pitchers throwing lots of strikes so that when they do swing at pitches, contact is being made and balls getting put in play. Makes for great tempo to the game, makes for a lot of action to follow in the game. As you can see, our broadcast tower for... Usually when you think of the word tower, you think of something a little bit more tall and majestic. But our tower, such as it is showing up on the field there. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that there, the little shed? Yeah, that's me waving to all of you. That's what happens when you're broadcasting your fourth game of the day, too. You start to be fascinated by your own shadow. Here comes Lausanne. She doubled to lead off the second inning, came around to score what so far is the game's only run, and takes the first pitch for a ball. 1-0 the count. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. Swinging, popping that way up high into the air, and it'll fall just behind the seats, just outside the fence on the third base side. So a high strike. And the count goes to 1-1. Lausanne making her third Nationals this year as she attended the 21U, the senior women's, and now the 16U. That one fouled off on the third base side, but the third baseman able to go over and make the catch as Poole got herself underneath it for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Grayson. Cameron Grayson was hit by a pitch her first time up. Grayson says she wants to go to university for either architecture or sports medicine when she finishes high school. Either one would be a very worthy endeavor. And here comes the pitch. Swung on and fouled off. 0-1 the count. Grayson, now this I am impressed with. A multi-sport competitive athlete and maintains a 4.0 GPA. I tip my hat to that. Truly exemplifying the concept of what a student athlete should really be all about. Competing at this high level, and once school gets back in, maintaining that great grade point average. There's a called strike on the outside corner, and the count goes to 1-2. Let that be a lesson to all of us that it can be done. That one misses high, and the count goes to 2-2. Two balls, two strikes on Grayson. Swung on and fouled out of play again, and the count will remain 2-2. As you can see, the shadows almost completely now covering the area between the mound and the plate, whereas the batter's box itself, a little bit of sunlight breaking through some of the leaves. That pitch misses inside, and the count runs full on Grayson. Stepping back in and ready to receive the payoff pitch from Peacock. Peacock delivers, and that'll miss low, ball 4. And a one-out walk puts a runner on for Amelia Russo. Russo, the left fielder, will be hitting grade 10 this coming school year. Grayson taking her lead off of first and going with the first pitch, the ball down in the dirt, and there won't be a chance for a throw. And that will put Grayson at second base for Russo, and Russo ahead in the count here, 1-0. Time called as Russo not happy with something, steps out. Now she'll step back in. And we'll get a throw over to second, and getting back easily is Grayson, but the message from Peacock that she wasn't too happy with how Grayson was just sort of wandering off of second base there. Swung on and missed, And the count goes to 1-1. The 1-1 pitch swung on again, and the count now 1-2. And the thing about these conditions, both teams playing in the same light. Yes, it is ever changing. There's a ball pulled foul, and the count goes to 1-2. But every minute there are slightly different nuances to how the light is flickering there and how it makes every at-bat a little bit different. That one misses low, and the count goes to 2-2 on Russo. Kladko waiting in the on-deck circle. That one popped up, and it will land just in foul territory, as I think both Peacock and Horwood had a little bit of trouble finding that one up in this very clear blue sky here above the Joan Lenahan Field here in Bedford. Hardly a cloud to be found above the field here right now. A few clouds off in the distance, some wispy ones, but not much right here. There's a called third strike as Peacock catches Russo looking for her fourth strikeout of the game, and all 4 Ks for Russo, or for Peacock, have caught the batter looking at the third strike, including Juliet Kladko, who steps in for her second at-bat. Takes the first pitch for a ball 1. Kladko says one of her greatest accomplishments, pitched a complete game in her last year of Little League in the championship game. That's certainly an impressive feat. Speaking of Little League, again, we want to send congratulations out to the Little League team from Coquitlam, who won the Canadian Championships earlier this month, went to Williamsport and put on a good showing. Yes, they got eliminated, but to play a pretty good game against the team from Mexico, a pretty good game against the team from Latin America, and earn a victory against the team from Europe. Anytime you can hold your own in those games against Mexico and Latin America at that Little League World Series, even if you don't get the victory, to go at-bat for at-bat with those relative powerhouses on the international side, that's something to hold your head high about. That one fouled off, and the count on Kladko remains 1-2. Of course, we're down to the final few teams over there at that World Series, and that team from Willemstad, Curaçao, still right in it, as is the team from Mexico, the 2 teams that handed Canada their 2 losses. Another one fouled off, and the count's still 1-2 as this at-bat turning into an incredible battle here between Peacock on the mound and Kladko at the plate. Yet another 1-2 pitch, and yet another pitch wasted as Kladko is fouling all of these off. And again, the big thing to keep in mind with pitch counts and the way the pitch count rules work, every time you waste the other pitcher's pitch, that is a positive thing. There's a single out to right field as the ball got past the second baseman Gorham, and that puts runners at the corners with 2 out as Kladko finally wins that battle, earning the single. But what a battle it was. That'll bring up Vanessa McKinley. She has an RBI single, her first time up, and has a chance to drive in her second and the second run of this game. As we're getting pretty close to the time where the lights will get turned on here at the Joan Lenahan Field. Take them a few minutes to get warmed up, obviously, but we're getting close to that point. There's a grounder right back to Peacock, over to first for the third out of the inning as Taves was there to make the grab. So British Columbia threatens to extend their lead, but Manitoba able to shut down the rally before any damage is done. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. We've played 3.5, and BC continues to lead Manitoba by a score of 1-0. Due up in the bottom of the fourth. It's around to the top of the order. Kennedy Taves, Darby Poole, and JC Ledahowski. Top of the fourth over in our other game, and Quebec leads it 3-1 over Nova Scotia 1. As we're just sending a message over to the broadcaster over there at that other field so that he knows what's going on in this one so he can give those fans an update. So just bear with me while I return the favor and send him a message. There we go. So again, we are heading into the top of the fourth inning, or the bottom of the fourth inning, And for Manitoba, it is the top of the order, Taves, Poole, and Ledahowski. As again, we're having this game just fly right along. First pitch coming approximately 50 minutes ago now, thereabouts. 50 minutes ago exactly. And we're in the bottom of the fourth inning, which just proves to the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox games can go quickly if you just apply yourself a little bit. I'm all for exciting baseball. I'm all for high drama in baseball, but I'm not sure how many more 4-hour marathons I can handle where they're still not even going into extra innings to hit 4 hours. That one's fouled off by Taves, and the count goes to 1-0, or 0-1, Taves planning to be a linguist when she hits university. There's a grounder through the left side of the infield for a leadoff single. And that will bring up Darby Poole with 1 on and nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth. Poole grounded out to short her first time up. Runner going, throw over to first, now down to second, and the pickoff works as the move by the left-hander is able to get the runner as Kladko able to get the throw over to first to Sawkins. Sawkins over to the shortstop Padgham, and counted as a caught stealing 1-3-6 as we get a correction. BC won 21-11 against Quebec 2. What I was given was 12-11. Let me see here. Yeah, I was going off of what I saw on the tournament website. So if there was a typo on the tournament website, that's the information I was going from. So thanks to Kelly Simikak for that correction. As we play here in the bottom of the fourth. That one sent out to center field. Coming in and making the catch is Wong for the second out of the inning. And that will bring up Ledachowski. Ledachowski, part of both the U16 and the U21 Manitoba teams. Says she wants to play softball when she goes to college. Certainly several great programs to choose from in that regard. There's a swing and a miss by Ledachowski. And Kladko ahead in the count here, 0-1, as the Shadows have pretty much completely taken over the field. There's a foul tip, and the count goes to 0-2. And the lights are turned on here at the Joan Lenahan Field, and you'll start to see that difference. And our tech guys will have to go to work again to account for those lights. There's a ball sent out to right center. It's going to drop in, bounce all the way to the wall. Long turn around first, and heading back is Ledachowski with a long single off the fence. And that's the one thing about this diamond here, the Joan Lenahan Field. The dimension's only 218 out to straightaway, or out to the right field line, 259 to straightaway center. So even if you do hit it all the way to the fence, you're not hitting the ball quite deep enough to really necessarily give yourself an automatic double if it goes all the way to the fence. That brings up Jasmine Horwood with 1 on and 2 away. And the first 2 pitches to Horwood both miss a little bit high. Horwood was named the top scorer of the 2018 Winter Games in hockey. So another one of those 2-sport athletes that we've seen so many of here at this tournament. That one misses low, ball 4. And that'll put runners at first and second with 2 out. And up comes Cheyenne Chartrand. Chartrand steps in as we're going to have a pitching change. I've got my glasses on and I still can't read the pitch count meter there. But whatever the pitch count meter is, it's time for a pitching change for Team BC. And taking over on the mound, it will be Ashley Losin. So Losin was playing third base. She'll now take over on the mound. Juliet Kladko, who was pitching, I believe she headed off to the and it appears that Kladko has gone to the dugout, so we'll have to see what the defensive alignment becomes. Sawkins still will be at first base, Grayson at second, Padgham at third. I believe perhaps McKinley has come in instead of being the extra hitter and will now be the third baseman. We'll wait to see if we can get confirmation of that once the players head back to their positions to resume play. As Manitoba has runners at first and second with 2 away. And it is indeed McKinley has come into the game instead of being the extra hitter. She'll now be the third base. Kladko, who was pitcher, becomes extra hitter. As that extra hitter is like an extra defensive position as well. You can rotate people into and out of that spot as if they were an extra defender. So a pitcher who comes out doesn't have to lose their spot in the batting order. First pitch swinging out to shallow left field, and heading over to make the catch is Padgham for the third out of the inning. So one pitch is all that Lawson needs for the fourth inning to come to an end. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. We've played 4 complete, and we're still looking at a 1-0 scoreline in favor of Team British Columbia. Due up for BC in the top of the 5th. It'll be Tess Sawkins, Jacqueline Chernin, and then back around to the top of the order for Raina Padgham. And again, not quite able to see the pitch counter display from here. We were able to see it a little bit better earlier today. I don't know if they adjusted the angle of it or what the situation is there, but I can't see it like I could earlier today, that's for sure. And I do still have my glasses on. As we get ready for this top of the 5th. As this game just about to reach the 1 hour mark. Just zooming right along. Again, BC trying to reach 2-0 after a win earlier today against Team Quebec number 2. Manitoba trying to avoid 0-2 after a loss earlier today against Saskatchewan. And leading off the bottom of the 5th, it will be Tess Sawkins, or top of the 5th, excuse me. Tess Sawkins stepping in for BC. Sawkins squares around, bunts, trying to get on base with the bunt single, and the throw gets past the first baseman, Taves, and that will allow Sawkins to head down to second, but the tag applied and Sawkins is out, trying to advance on the error. So a whole lot to break down in that play. A bunt single for Sawkins, a throwing error, and then mark the out 9-4 on the putout, trying to advance on the throwing error. And that'll bring up Jacqueline Chernin. Chernin grounded out her first time up. Takes the first pitch for a ball, and the count goes to 1-0. That one fouled back. And the count goes to 1-1. I'm definitely parking further away tomorrow. Few too many balls getting a little bit too close to the van there. That one popped up first base side, and it goes out beyond the fence, foul, and the count now 1-2. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Catches the inside corner for strike 3. 5th strikeout, and again, all of the strikeouts by Peacock so far in this game. Third strike has been a called third strike. None of the strike 3s have been strike 3 swinging. That'll bring up Padgham. She struck out looking in the first, doubled in the third, and comes up here with nobody on and 2 away in the 5th. Takes the first pitch for a ball. The 1-0 in for a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. And that just shows how effectively Peacock has been hitting her spots, fooling the BC batters into taking what has been strike 3 so many times so far in this game. 2-1 now the count on Padgham. That one lined out to left field. One hop off the fence. Padgham will round first. She'll head into second standing. As that one on a rope out to left field for a stand-up double. That'll bring up Caitlin Foubert. She's 0 for 2 with a ground out and a fly out. Grounded out in the first, flew out in the third. Comes up here with 2 out and 1 on. And there's a grounder through to the right side, through to right field, throw to home. Now trying to get the runner advancing to second on the throw. And they do get the out at second as the tag applied by Ledachowski. The throw home, the catcher Horwood coming out to get it, and then a strong throw down to second. The run does count as Padgham came in to score before the out was made. Foubert the RBI single. Out 9-6, trying to advance to second on the throw home for the third out in the inning. So this one's a bit of a strange one. 1 run on 3 hits, no errors, and nobody left on base as 2 base runners were gunned down. One trying to advance on an error, the other one trying to advance on a throw. But the bottom line, British Columbia now leads it 2-0 going into the bottom of the 5th. And they're saying no errors. The fact that she was safe at first means it was an error, not a hit. No, she was going to be safe at first anyway. But the fact that she was, no, right, that is no errors. All right. But it's still 3 hits. Due up in the bottom of the 5th, it'll be Gorham, Peacock, and Dixon, as Manitoba now trails it by 2 runs. Some of those odd quirks of scoring that you don't usually see. As we see out there for her second inning of work, although she only threw 1 pitch, is Lawson. Lawson came in with 2 out in the 4th. Threw 1 pitch and got the 3rd out. Swing and a miss for Gorham. Gorham doubled her first time up. Comes up here to lead off the 5th. And is quickly behind in the count 0-1. Mercedes Gorham. That one misses high and the count goes 1-1. Gorham, a real multi-sport athlete, also plays basketball, volleyball, and beach volleyball. And for those of you who are asking, yes, there is a significant difference in the skill set for volleyball and beach volleyball. A big difference between playing on sand and playing on the gym floor, and a big difference between playing with 6 people and playing with 2 people on a side. As Lawson, a little bit of a awkward step on that last pitch. Not at all happy with her landing area. She does a little bit of work to fix that up. Now she gets herself set with the 2-2 count and the full wind-up. And that one just misses and the count goes 3-2. Lawson again looked a little bit uncomfortable with the way she landed. That one a little bit smoother, her delivery, and the count remains 3-2 as Gorham fouled that one back. 1 ball, or 3 balls, 2 strikes here to the leadoff batter in the bottom of the 5th inning. And again, Lawson landing a little bit awkwardly there, and she's going to do some more work to try and clean up that landing area on the mound. Leadoff walk for Gorham. And it looks like we're going to get a pinch runner here for Gorham. Jenna Swain will come in and take over for Gorham. So Jenna Swain enters the game as a pinch runner here in the 5th inning. And Michaela Peacock steps in. She's 0 for 1 with a walk, or with a strikeout, excuse me. Swings and foul tips, and the count goes to 0-1. Swain with a pretty decent lead there at first. There's a single out to center, and that will put runners at first and second with nobody out. And up comes Zara Dixon. She's 0 for 1, reaching on an error her first time up. Zara. It's Zara, not Zara. Zara Dixon. And again, I apologize for any mispronunciations. And so the ball ended up hitting Dixon in the foot, but because she was showing bunt, it is not a hit batsman, and because the ball went off her foot and back to the backstop, the runners were able to advance. So Swain gets to third, Peacock gets to second, and we've got a meeting at the mound here with the count 0-1 on Dixon as she offered at that first pitch. So the count is 0-1. And now we're getting an indication that the runners do have to go back because the ball hit her when she did offer at a pitch. So Swain heads back to second and Peacock back to first. 0-1 the count here on Dixon. There's the pitch. This time the bunt gets laid down. Coming off the mound to get it is Lawson, down to first in time. But the sacrifice puts both Swain and the potential tying run Peacock into scoring position. And that'll bring up Marie Bean. Bean grounded into a double play her first time up. Bean looking to go into welding or auto body work after she finishes high school. First pitch to her ends up catching her on the hip. And that will load the bases, bringing up Jessica Chanel. Chanel struck out her first time up. Comes out here with the bases loaded and 1 away. Potential tying run at second base, potential lead run at first, and time being called as Bean still in some discomfort after taking that one off the hip. Trying to stretch it out a little bit. Now we get an indication that she's ready to go, and we are ready to resume. Swing and a miss on the first pitch to Chanel. And Lawson is ahead in the count, 0-1. Coming back to Bean. I haven't taken a pitch off the hip like that, but I can imagine how much that would sting. There's a foul tip, and the count goes to 0-2. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Taking one right off of the hip like that. There's a swing and a foul tip, but the ball gets dropped. And the count remains 0-2. Chanel able to just get enough of it to stay alive here. Swing and a miss. And there's the first strikeout for Lawson and the 5th strikeout overall for BC pitching. That brings us back around to the top of the order for Kennedy Taves. She's one of those 5 strikeout victims. She also had a single and was caught stealing. Takes a first pitch strike. And Lawson is ahead in the count here 0-1. And that's been her key to success since she came in last inning. A lot of first pitch strikes. There's a grounder to short. Long throw across the diamond. Pulls the first baseman Sawkins off of the bag, but Sawkins with the heads-up play to apply the tag for the 3rd out. So Manitoba threatens. They load the bases with a single, a walk, and a hit batsman, but not able to convert. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. Bases left loaded, and we've played 5 complete here, and it is still a 2-0 scoreline for BC going into the top of the 6th. Due up in the top of 6 for British Columbia, it will be Wong, Lawson, and Grayson. Again, Wong, Lawson, and Grayson due up, and they will face Peacock, who it looks like she's going to be out there for as many pitches as she's allowed to throw for the tournament. This is her game that she will get on the mound. She's been able to minimize the damage through the first 5 innings that she's thrown. Given up a total of 7 hits, but just 2 runs, 5 runners left on base. She's been helped out by the defense behind her, being able to gun down runners, either trying to advance on throws or advance in other ways. Double plays have helped out. As Wong comes up, she's grounded out twice to the shortstop, Ledahowski. And the first pitch of the 6th inning from Peacock misses just high, ball 1. And I believe that says 78 now, those pitches over there for Peacock. That one misses in the dirt. And the count goes to 1-1. Or 2-0, excuse me. Which means we'll get about 15 more pitches or thereabouts. That one will get over the head of the right fielder, Bean. Heading into second is Wong. And she'll get in with the leadoff double. And that'll bring up Lawson. She doubled and scored the first run of the game and popped out in foul territory to the 3rd baseman. Comes up here with a runner on second and nobody out in the top of the 6th. Lawson, first pitch swinging, grounder to second. Over to first in time for 1 out. And not able to advance on the play was Wong as the ball a little too sharply hit. As Gorham, who was taken out for a pinch runner, comes back into the game, re-entering, playing second base, and gets the assist on that out. And that'll bring up Cameron Grayson. She was hit by a pitch in the 2nd and walked in the 4th, so still no official at-bats in this game. but has been on base twice. As Peacock steps off, about to throw her 82nd pitch, which guarantees, although we were guaranteed a while ago, that this is going to be her only pitching appearance in this tournament. That one fouled off, and the count goes to 0-1 to Grayson. Here comes the 0-1. That misses low. Quebec now leads 4-2 after 5 over on the Robert Lenehan field. As Quebec looking to avoid dropping to 0-2. There's a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2 on Grayson. Nova Scotia looking to improve to 2-0. But if that scoreline holds with Quebec leading Nova Scotia, both teams will have records of 1-1. That pitch misses low. And the count now 2-2 on Grayson here, with Wong at second and one away. Top of the 6th inning. BC with one in the second, one more in the 5th. Manitoba has been held off the score sheet so far. There's a called third strike. 6 strikeouts now for Peacock, and again, all 6 caught looking. That'll bring up Amelia Russo. She comes up with a runner on second and 2 away. BC trying to add a little bit more insurance here as we're getting into the latter stages of this game. Russo walked in the second, was stranded at third, and struck out in the 4th. One of those 6 strikeout victims for Peacock so far in this game. First pitch misses high, goes all the way to the backstop. And Wong will get into third base standing up. So the potential insurance run now just 90 feet away. That one misses just high, and the count goes to 2-0. See, now here, if she gets to 95 pitches, she's allowed to finish the batter that she's facing. That one fouled back, and the count goes to 2-1. And I know this has been sort of an ongoing diatribe for me throughout the day as to the one minor issue I have with the way the pitch count rule works. That one misses high, 3-1, as I think Peacock was a little bit distracted there by Wong's frantic back and forth movement along the third baseline. That one misses high, ball 4. And the walk to Russo will put runners on the corners with 2 out. And Kladko will come up, but with only 4 pitches left, I think we're going to see either a stall for time for a little bit more warm-up for whoever will be replacing Peacock, or perhaps we're just seeing this stall for time now. And, yeah, no, he's going to head back down to the dugout, and we'll see that pitching change take place after this batter, as the likelihood is that Kladko will be the last batter that Peacock faces regardless, even if it is only a 1 or 2 pitch at bat, because she's got 4 pitches left by the looks of it. If I am reading that correctly, there's a swing and a miss by Kladko. She struck out in the second and singled in the 4th. Comes up here with runners on the corners and 2 away here in the 6th. Peacock gets herself set, ready to deliver the 0-1. Swing and a miss, and the runner going, and rather than throwing down to second, as is usually the case with runners on the corners, the catcher hangs on to the ball, faked as if to throw to see if she could maybe pull Wong off a third. Not able to do so. That pitch misses just high, and the count goes to 1-2. And that was pitch number 94, so this next one will be pitch number 95. And it's a called third strike. And so Peacock gets her 6th strikeout of the game. And every single, or 7th strikeout of the game, and every single one of them caught looking. 1 hit, 1 walk, but no errors. 2 runners left on base means no runs scored in that top of the 6th inning. We're headed to the bottom of the 6th, and it remains a 2-0 scoreline in favor of Team BC. And with that pitch count hitting exactly 95, we know there will be a new pitcher to come out and throw the top of the 7th. But before we get to that, we have the bottom of the 6th coming up. And it's Poole, Ledahowski, and Horwood due up for Team Manitoba as they trail by 2 to try and get something on the board here. As we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, Darby Poole 0 for 2 with a ground out and a fly out will lead things off. And we get some defensive changes here for BC very quickly before we start this inning. Rachel Tam will go out and play left field. And coming in to play second base is the person who had been the left fielder. Cheyenne Simicak will play second base, replacing Cameron Grayson. And Rachel Tam will go out and play left field, replacing Amelia Russo. And I believe those are the only 2 changes. And again, with our broadcast position quite a ways away from the official scorers table, we have to just try and keep our eyes open as best we can for where and when changes occur, as we get no indication of them sent directly to us. First pitch to Poole, a called strike, and the count goes to 0-1. Swing and a miss, and it's now 0-2. That one sent out to left field. And it'll get over the head of Tam. Heading around to second is Poole. She'll stop there. As Keegan Wong has moved from center field to right field. A leadoff double for Poole, as we're still trying to figure out who's where. Brings up Ledahowski. She's 1 for 2 with a single. First pitch to her misses just a little bit down and outside. Not sure who's out in center field now, but the former center fielder Wong is now in right field. So Foubert has come out. Trying to figure out, and Chernin is no longer behind the plate either. We'll have to figure out who's there. Grounder over to first, able to get over and touch the bag is the first baseman. And that is still Sawkins over at first base. So an unassisted ground out to Sawkins. Poole able to get over to third. And that'll bring up Horwood. She popped out in the second, walked in the fourth. And takes the first pitch a little bit high, ball one. That's 22 behind the plate, so that means Ella Duncan Rita is now the catcher. Which means I would presume that Maxie Lloyd is in center field for Caitlin Foubert, who had been in right field. We'll try to see if we can confirm that that is number 10 out there in center, if we can see that clearly at some point. That pitch misses down and outside, and the count now, I believe, 2-0. And there's it was 2-2 actually, and there's a called third strike on Horwood. And for Lawson, that's her second strikeout and sixth overall by BC pitching. That'll bring up Cheyenne Chartrand. She's 0 for 2. Takes the first pitch for a ball, and the count 1-0. Runner on third. There's a called strike, and the count goes to 1-1. Runner on third, 2 away, 2-0 the scoreline in favor of BC. Here in the bottom of the sixth inning. Swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes. That one misses, and the count now 2-2. And yes, that was, can confirm now that that is Maxie Lloyd out in center field. That pitch misses, and the count runs full. 3-2 now on Chartrand. Lawson steps off. And now she'll get herself reset. And time gets called. And we'll see a chat at the mound here as the coach for BC comes out to talk to his pitcher. Meanwhile, we're hearing plenty of noise from over at the other field. And the nature of the noise that we're hearing sounds like something positive happening for Quebec as we see some more defensive changes. All right, let's see if we can follow the bouncing ball and figure out who goes where. All right, heading out to right field is McKinley. She goes to right from third base. Padgham goes from the shortstop to the pitcher's mound. So we'll try and reset all of the defense for you here in just a moment as we can sort out who's where and what's what and so on and so forth. We know for sure that Ella Duncan-Reed is behind the plate and that Rain Padgham is on the mound right now. We can tell you that Cheyenne Simicak is now an infielder after being an outfielder. Or no, she's the second baseman. Or she was the second baseman a moment ago, and I think will still be the second baseman. Lawson, who was third base and then pitcher, I believe, is back to third base. We'll have to wait for confirmation of that. Sawkins is still at first. McKinley went out to right field, it looked like. Okay, so Simicak is at second. First base remains Sawkins. Lawson goes back to third. And we'll try and figure out the rest for you in just a moment. Meanwhile, there's a strike. So coming in to throw one pitch and finishing the strikeout to Chartrand to end the sixth inning was Padgham. And that means no runs on one hit, no errors, and one runner left on base. We've played 6 complete, and British Columbia continues to lead Manitoba 2-0. Due up in the top of the 7th for BC, it will be McKinley, Sawkins, and Duncan Reed. As we see defensive changes for Manitoba. Peacock goes from the pitcher's mound and is now playing first base. Raven Carriere has come in to play right field, replacing Bean. Second base is now Taves, so she moves from first to second. Gorham, who was the second baseman, is now pitching. Center field is still Chanel. Shortstop is still Ledahowski. Third base is still Poole. Left field is still Dixon. And I think we got that squared away. So the outfield, left to right, is Dixon, Chanel, and now Carriere instead of Bean. The infield, Poole still at third, Ledahowski still at short. Second base now is Taves. First base now is Peacock. Behind the plate is still Horwood, and now pitching the third pitcher of the game, or second pitcher of the game for Manitoba, Mercedes Gorham. And the first pitch by Gorham misses outside to McKinley, ball 1. There's a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. That one fouled back into the backstop, and it's now 1-2. Another one fouled back, and it remains 1-2. That one comes a little bit high and tight on McKinley, and she will take the base on the hit by pitch. That'll bring up Tess Sawkins. as McKinley trying to shake that one off. With the leadoff runner now at first base and nobody out here in the top of inning number 7. Throw over to first, and getting back in safely is McKinley. Another throw to first, and McKinley again back in safe as the ball squirts away just a touch there from Peacock, not far enough away to allow McKinley a chance to make any sort of advance. Now the pitch from Gorham, that one down in the dirt, and the count goes to 1-0 on Sawkins. One on, nobody out here, top of inning number 7. The pitch. Misses inside. 2-0. British Columbia leading it over Manitoba 2-0, trying to get some insurance here in the top of the 7th. Manitoba right now will need 2 to tie in the bottom of the inning. Another throw over to first, and McKinley again gets back in safely. As Gorham with a pretty good move. It's a difficult move for right-handers there to make that throw over to first. That one's going to get to the backstop as it gets away from Harwood, and that will allow McKinley to get down to second base. So all that effort to try and keep McKinley at first goes for naught as the ball gets away from Harwood, and the count now 3-0 on Sawkins. BC looking to add a little bit more insurance here in the top of the 7th, just a 2-run margin. And here comes the pitch. That one catches the zone, and the count goes to 3-1. The 3-1 pitch now coming from Gorham, and that misses ball 4. So a hit batsman and a walk put runners at first and second with nobody out. And Ella Duncan-Rita getting her first at-bat of the game after coming in as a defensive replacement. Duncan-Rita from the community of Duncan, 15 years old. Runners going with the pitch. A called strike, but both runners able to execute the double steal safely. That puts runners at second and third with nobody out. And now stepping off is Gorham to take a moment to reset her bearings. And we'll get a quick meeting at the mound as the catcher Horwood, wants to talk things over. And now the rest of the infield comes in as well to make sure they're all on the same page here defensively, with runners on second and third and nobody out. With it being just a 2-run game, obviously every little bit of offense is crucial. So every little bit of defense that you can commit to prevent any offense, equally crucial. And here comes the 0-1. No, before we get to the 0-1 pitch, Manitoba coaching staff comes out and say, no, we want a walker. So an intentional walk of Ella Duncan-Reed will load the bases, getting a force play at any plate, and bring up Rain Padgham. Padgham struck out in the first, doubled in the third, doubled again in the fifth, and came around to score that second time. Comes up here with the bases loaded and nobody out, looking to add some insurance for Team BC here in the top of the seventh. To call this at-bat pivotal would be a bit of an understatement. The first pitch to Padgham misses low, and the count goes to 1-0. Manitoba trying to make sure that BC stays within striking distance for their at-bat in the bottom of the seventh. That pitch misses high and inside, 2-0. As Gorham gets herself set and delivers. Fouled off, and it's 2-1. All three BC runners getting huge leads as all four Manitoba infielders are well inside of the baselines, and all three Manitoba outfielders are playing way, way deep. That one fouled off, and the count goes to 1-2. The infield playing cut it down at home defense. The outfield playing nothing gets over our heads defense. And a Texas leaguer would have either set of the defense running for days. That pitch just misses, and the count goes to 2-2. As you can see there, all four infielders for Manitoba in very tight, trying to cut down anything hit on the ground. That pitch misses high, and it's now 3-2. Now, if you're Team BC, do you start your runners with a full count, nobody out, mind you, a full count, and a 3-2 pitch? That one misses high and inside, and that will bring home the third run of the ball game. McKinley comes in to score. Sawkins advances to third. Duncan Reed to second. And the walk for Padgham puts her on first base and gives her an RBI and brings up Maxie Lloyd for her first plate appearance. Actually, that'll bring up Simicak. So Simicak came in the 2 spot in the batting order. So Cheyenne Simicak making her first plate appearance of this game, which means Lloyd goes into the 5 spot, I think, if we get that far. And so Simicak from Surrey, the 15-year-old, steps in for her first plate appearance. And the first pitch to her misses low. Ball 1. And Manitoba still playing the infield well in here to try and cut down a runner at the plate on anything hit on the ground. And because both BC base runners behind the infield, there's a grounder knocked down by the shortstop. No time to get someone at home, and the throw to first is off target. That'll bring home 2 runs on this play. And that will make it now 5-0. As Simicak reaches on the throwing error. She'll get 1 RBI, as the 1 run would have come in regardless. The second run is not an RBI, and it's now 5-0 with runners at the corners, and that'll bring up Keegan Wong. Wong 1 for 3 with a double. And Wong takes a first pitch strike. Stepping in with the count 0-1. Runner from first going. And we'll have a balk as Gorham stopped mid delivery. So that will bring Padgham into score. Simikak takes second. And now we'll get the 0-1 pitch, and that'll miss outside. And the count goes to 1-1. So Manitoba now trailing it 6-0 as they've given up 4 runs here in the top of the 7th. BC able to break it open. Swing and a miss there, and the count goes to 1-2. Here comes the 1-2 from Gorham. Grounded down to the third baseman. It actually gets through the third baseman and through to the out to left field. An RBI single for Wong, and it's now 7-0. This scoreline very much belying how close this game has been throughout, but one bad inning has turned this into a 7-0 game. And I think we're going to see... No, we're just seeing the coach come out to talk to Gorham here for a moment before Ashley Lawson begins her at-bat. She's 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. That was the first run of the game way back in the second that Lawson scored. And now we are going to see a pitching change, and it looks like it's going to be just a straight swap pitcher for center fielder. No, it's going to be more complicated than that, because of course it is. All right. So Taves, who was playing second base, now goes to her third different position of the game, out to left field. Gorham, who started at second base, then pitched, now comes back to second base, and Dixon, who was playing left field, will now come in and pitch. So, again, a 3-position swap there. Gorham goes from pitcher to second base, back to where she had started the game. Taves goes from second base out to left field, and the left fielder Zara Dixon comes in to pitch to try and stem the tide here as BC has put 5 runs up so far in this 7th inning, and there's still nobody out. So, not quite the pitching outing that Gorham was looking for. Facing 6 batters, all 6 batters reached. 1 hit batsman, 2 walks, 1 of those intentional, or 3 walks rather, 1 of those intentional, 1 reached on an error, and 1 hit. So now Lawson will step in with a runner on first and still no one out here in the top of the 7th, and the scoreline now 7-0 for BC. Lawson 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. There's a first pitch strike to Lawson, and the count goes to 0-1. Throw over to first, and getting back in is Wong. Runner going. Throw down to second. almost in time. So close there at second base. But Wong gets in safely with the steal. I believe the pitch was called a ball as it was a little bit high. And the count goes to 1-1. Looking ahead to the bottom of the seventh, it'll be Swain, Peacock, and Dixon. For Manitoba as they try to start a rally that they will need with the margin now 7. That one misses. And the count now 2-1, I do believe. That one misses, or it was 3-1, as Lawson takes the walk, putting runners at first and second, and still nobody out. And now we're going to get Rachel Tam up to bat. So again, we're slowly but surely figuring out where all of these offensive changes came. And in the on-deck circle is Amelia Russo. So Russo didn't come out of the game after all. So maybe Maxime Lloyd didn't come into the game after all. And while we're trying to figure all that out, we've had a couple pitches here to Tam. And there's a called strike. And I believe we're sitting at 2-1. As we do get confirmation of that, yes, it is indeed 2-1. And here comes the 2-1 pitch, swung on and missed. And it's 2-2. Runners going. And a bit of an awkward play at third base, but they get the tag to retire Wong, as the attempted double steal does not work. Wong is tagged out at third for the first out of the inning. Lawson now at second with one away. Grounder to the second baseman, over to first for the second out. Lawson takes third on the play. And that'll bring up Amelia Russo. As we're getting the presentation of the players of the game over on the other field, so that game is a final. There's a called first strike to Russo. And meanwhile here, it's 1-1, the count on Russo. As we play here in the top of the seventh. Grounder right back to the pitcher Dixon, over to first for the third out. And that will do it for the top of the seventh, but British Columbia break it wide open with 5 runs on just 1 hit. There was 1 error and 1 runner left on base. We go to the bottom of the seventh. Manitoba now needing 7 to tie, 8 to win. And it'll be Swain, Peacock, and Dixon. And then Carriere, if anyone gets on, to try and keep the rally going. As McKinley heads to right. Russo heads to center. Tam heads to left. So Tam is in left, yes. Russo in center. McKinley in right. Sawkins at first. Simikak at second. Wong is at short. Lawson is at third. Padgham is at the mound, and Duncan Reed behind the plate. Okay, we've got it figured out. And the final score in that game between Quebec and Nova Scotia, Quebec broke it open late, much like BC has done here. The final score, Quebec beat Nova Scotia 9-2. First pitch now to Gorham rather. Here in the bottom of the seventh is a ball. Swain had come in as a pinch runner, and then Gorham came back into the game. Swing and a miss, and the count goes 1-1. So Quebec improves to 1-1. Nova Scotia falls to 1-1. Swing and a miss there, and the count 1-2 here on Gorham. Swung on, foul tipped. Not able to hold on to it was Ella Duncan Reed. And so it'll stay 1-2. That one into the air, into right field, over to make the catch for the first out of the seventh. As getting underneath it there was the right fielder McKinley for out number one. That'll bring up Michaela Peacock. She's 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout. And the first pitch to Peacock catches the bottom part of the zone, and the count goes 0-1. The 0-1 pitch fouled back, and it's 0-2. As Padgham gets herself set and delivers. Another one fouled off. And it's still 0-2. The 0-2 pitch again, swung on and missed. And there's strike number 3. The first strike for Padgham by herself. She threw strike 3 to Chartrand as she came in mid at bat. And the 8th overall strikeout for BC pitching. And then throws a first pitch out of the zone to Dixon. The count goes 1-0 on what is now Manitoba's last chance here in the bottom of the seventh. There's a strike, and the count goes 1-1. One ball, one strike. Swung on and missed 1-2. Or no, that was the third strike. And that will do it for day number 1. Manitoba goes down in order in the bottom of the seventh. No runs, no hits, no errors. And the final score in this one, British Columbia wins it 7-0. We'll stick around for the handshakes and the presentation of the players of the game. And then we'll sign off until bright and early tomorrow morning. Our first game tomorrow will be coming to you from Robert Lenahan Field at 9 a.m., while our first game here at Joan Lenahan will be at 9:30. We'll have Alberta and Ontario in that one, while over on the other field they'll have Quebec 2 and Saskatchewan. But first, we'll wrap things up here with Again, the handshakes and the presentation of players of the game. A pretty entertaining ball game all around and much closer. Than the scoreline would indicate. As it was just 2-0 until we got into the 7th inning, and BC broke it open with 5 runs there in the top of the 7th. As we get the teams to line up on the respective baselines for the presentation of the players of the game. As the player of the game for Manitoba, Michaela Peacock, the starting pitcher, and Ashley Lozen, who came in relief to pitch. So those are your players of the game. The starting pitcher for Manitoba, Michaela Peacock, who threw 6 strong innings of 2-run ball. And then the player of the game for British Columbia, their relief pitcher, who came in and threw a couple of key innings through the 4th, or through the 5th and 6th. And that was Ashley Lozen. Lozen also made some good plays at third base and contributed offensively as well. So the final score, once again, British Columbia beats Manitoba 7-0. That's going to do it for this one. Until tomorrow, when we come back bright and early in the morning. This is Michael Petter saying, may your pitches hit the corners, may your liners hit the gaps. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning.